Welcome to the Retirement Roadmap Show. I'm your host, David Nagy, and my co host today in the studio is Tony Shore. Hey, Tony, how's it going?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm doing better than the stock market this
Yes,
week.
you are.
I've had a much better week than the stock market has had. I'm trying to look on the bright side. I'm doing great. As you know, I just ate some pizza, which is, I'm all about the pizza, David. You
Me
know that.
too. Me too, brother.
That's some good lunch, even leftover pizza.
I'm good
You know.
Italiano over here. I gotta
Oh
gotta
yeah.
eat the pizza.
Yep, I make some good homemade pizza with.
Oh
I
wow.
get this from this Italian restaurant in Delhi. They make their own sausage. You buy the sausage there, and
Mm,
it's delicious. It's
mm.
delicious. But we digress. There's a lot more going on. Trying to be a little lighthearted before we dig into your topic for today. What are we talking about on the show today, David?
Well, the buzz on the street is all the volatility in the market that
Yep.
is Trump's plan going to work? And a lot of people are scared. Business owners say that things are down. People aren't coming in to buy stuff. A lot of people are very uneasy right now.
Yeah, they really are. I know that people are concerned about what's going on with the tariffs and possible recession.
Yeah.
There's always talk anytime the market drops, it seems like, or there's a couple of different indicators. They're like, are we going to hit a recession? Um, but the news media likes to really overdo it, I think. I mean, they're going to
Yep.
focus on the negative. The sky is always falling. So, David, let's talk about the reality of what's going on. I know a lot of people have some concerns, and some of them
Mm.
are legitimate. So, what's going on?
Well, I think a lot of people are uneasy and they're worried about their investments. But here's the thing, Tony. Not one of my clients has called me in a panic. And why is that? Well, because my team and I, we've spent years building well-structured investment strategies that
Yep.
are designed to weather these downturns while still capturing growth. And there's a saying, right? Be fearful when others are greedy, and be greedy when others are fearful. So right now we see it as a great opportunity, and so do my clients. So I think really it comes down to, do you have a plan to protect your wealth, but still have opportunity during the growth times?
Yeah. So you need, I know you've talked about in past shows well-structured strategies, right?
Yep.
For people and a plan that will protect and while still providing growth.
Yep.
So how do you do that?
Well, it's a great question. And in chapter 2 of my first book, I talk about the concept of green money, yellow money, and red money. Now, it's a very simple concept, but it's a powerful way for people to think about balancing safety and growth, right? So, green money, everyone should have green money. It's safe, secure, not exposed to the market. But it doesn't mean that green money doesn't grow. If you properly structure the portfolio, your green money can still grow. Now, yellow money, right? It's a little higher risk, but we're actively managing it. We're making sure that the portfolio is designed to weather these storms. And then red money, that's your higher risk asset, right? It's got more growth potential, but we're going to see a lot more volatility there. And this type of a framework really helps us to build a portfolio that matches each of our clients' unique timelines, risk score, income needs, and financial goals.
Sure. So I thought all money was green. Of course, here in the U.S., most of it is. But green money, I like how you divide it up. You made it easy. Even I can understand this, right? Green money is
Mhm.
safe. Those assets aren't subject to market risk, at least. They're lower risk or no risk, maybe principal protection. Then you have yellow money, which are investments that have growth potential, but they require active management and oversight. And then red money are higher risk assets with strong growth potential, but they're exposed to more volatility. And right now we're seeing some of that volatility. So
Yep.
what I get is that people shouldn't panic. But Yeah, this is really good. I mean, you figure out what people's risk tolerance are, then you look at where they're at. You have them take the color of money risk analysis to see where they're at, and then you go from there because everybody's situation is different, right?
Yeah. Well, and you just said something, people panic. It's human nature to panic. And I think most of my clients before they became a client, they were always worried about the market, especially, when you turn on the news and the market's down. When you don't have a well thought out strategy in place, it's normal to feel that way. But once we've built a plan for our clients, they're not really worried anymore. They don't have that uncertainty because we have a plan that actually takes advantage of these downturns. Some of the strategies that we employ, most people, when they come into my office, they've never heard of a buffered index. So if you don't have a buffered index, now is a really good time to come into the office. Let me educate and empower you so that you don't have to worry. You've got a strategy that's not going to tank when the market does. Nope, I can't hear you, Tony.
Well, and that's huge. Obviously, you want a strategy that can weather market volatility, which is what we're experiencing now, which is why your clients don't call you in a panic when the market drops, because they have an overall strategy that incorporates volatility into it, and you have a plan for that. Plus, you're actively watching it for your clients. And the people that panic, that don't work with somebody like yourself, and when the markets are down or there's talk of recession, they sell everything or go to cash. And then what happens when it starts going up? They might miss some upturn, or they're selling when it's low. If people are still earning money or have money to invest in the stock market, this is a good time, because they like market corrections, because you buy, you get greedy when people are fearful and selling off. You buy when it's low, right?
Yeah. Well, and they've done studies, and literally over the last 20 years, if you missed the 20 best days in the market, just 20 days in the market, you miss 75% of the returns. So that's what happens. People sit on the sidelines. Well, I'm going to wait. And they miss the opportunity.
Yeah.
And that's why you need to be in investments like our buffered indexes, right? We get 100% of the upside of whatever index we choose. And we're putting people into indexes like the S&P, the Dow, the NASDAQ. We get 100% of the upside. And right now we've got some that have 100% protection if they go backwards. So we get all the upside with no risk. So if you've never heard of these strategies, I suggest, highly recommend, call my office, come in, let us sit down and look at what you're doing, because even people that have advisors they're not getting these types of investments. I see it all the time, every week. People come in, they have an advisor, they've never talked about these strategies. And I would suggest that if your advisor is not talking about these, maybe you have the wrong advisor.
Right. Well, especially if you're into retirement or headed into retirement. Let's say I'm going to retire next year, or I've already been in retirement for a while. A buffered index portfolio, those are great, those strategies, because they let you participate in some or all of the upside, and then they protect the downside. And sometimes it's 15%, sometimes it's full principal protection, right? You never go
Exactly.
below zero. So it depends on what the offerings are, and right now it's competitive, so they have these portfolios that say, hey, we'll let you participate in 100% when the markets go up, and there's built-in downside protection.
Yeah. And
uh,
these strategies, they really allow client, and I own these strategies,
right.
and they allow us and my clients, to invest with confidence, knowing that they have a structured investment that has rules-based approach that protects their wealth. And really, Tony, the key is education and empowerment is the key to financial confidence.
Yeah.
Really, that's the key.
Yeah, that is the key. And basically, you're talking about the SWAN plan, right? That's the sleep well at night plan. So your
Exactly.
clients can sleep well. Well, the media has their headlines, the sky is falling. I'm sleeping well at night knowing I have not only a diversified portfolio, but an overall balance to my overall finances, especially
Yeah.
if I'm in retirement. It's not all in high risk stocks in the market. Some of it's in buffered index portfolio. Some of
Yeah.
it's in an emergency fund. Some of it's in, something else. So it's not all eggs in one basket, right?
Yeah. And, most people don't really even know how they're allocated. And
Right.
so that would be my first question is, do you know how you're allocated? Do you have strategies in place that are going to protect your wealth while still capturing the upside? And are you confident in your financial future no matter what happens in the market?
Yeah.
So if you've answered no to any of those questions, I would suggest it's a great time to call my office, go to our website, come in, let us sit down, do a complimentary look at what you're doing. We'll tell you the good, the bad, and potentially the ugly, and we'll put in place a plan that makes sure that when these things happen, you're not worried.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's huge. And it's really important for our listeners out there to understand, don't go it alone and don't let your emotions dictate your financial moves. Just work with a trusted, independent financial advisor who's going to look out for your best interests. And you're held to that accountability standard. You're held accountable to make sure you're helping your clients make decisions that are only in their best interests, right?
Yeah, absolutely. As a
Yeah.
licensed professional and a fiduciary here at SRS Wealth Management, we're held to a much higher standard than most others in the financial service industry.
Yeah, and that's important. So I want to
Absolutely.
encourage our listeners out there. Those questions you asked are great too. Do you know how your portfolio is allocated? And I think a lot of people would say, "Oh, I have a great balance," or
Yeah.
I'm very conservative." And you've told me the stories of you run the report and it shows everything's at risk, right?
Yeah,
So,
I love
uh,
that. Yeah,
yeah,
I've got 60% stock, 40% safe. We're good. And then we do analysis, they're 90% risk. So
yeah.
you don't just take for granted that your advisor has got you properly allocated. Come in, let us run our analysis. We'll give you it. We don't charge for it, and we'll show you exactly how your portfolio is allocated.
Yeah. Yeah. And, do you have strategies in place to protect your wealth long term? Have you made a long term plan that will ensure your money will last as long as you do? You need to do that. You've got to be confident in your financial future, as you say, David.
Absolutely.
So, this is great. What do our listeners need to do? What's the next step?
We'll pick up the phone today. Don't wait. Call us 619-460-9433 or go to our website, srswealthmanagement.com. You can watch our videos, see what we do for our clients. You can listen to our podcasts. And then more importantly, go to the schedule now and get on our calendar. Come in, let's talk and see how we can put together a plan in place for your financial security and future.
That sounds awesome. Well, thank you so much, David. It's great that you went over this with our listeners. The key here is don't panic. It's a hot button topic right now. There's a lot going on, a lot of moving parts. So I'm hoping our listeners and viewers will pick up the phone, give you a call. But another great show. That does it for today's episode of the Retirement Roadmap with our host, David Nagy.